Hi, my name is Cindy O'Donnell. I'll be doing my presentation on the three strikes law. So what is the three strikes law? The three strikes law was put into effect in California March of 1994. The goal was to use the three strike system as a way to put career criminals behind bars for good. However, it became a greater controversy as people began to see people committing petty crimes being put behind bars for obscene amounts of time. The three strike system was implemented as a way to deter people from continuing to commit crimes. It gave people 2 times to be punished according to the specific crime, and the third time, people would have their criminal history used against them to give them a much longer sentence that didn't match the specific crime. On November 6, of 2012, Prop 36 was passed, which amended this law. It now made it necessary that the third crime committed be a serious or violent felony in order to be sentenced to 25 years to life. It also allowed prisoners who were already in the system because of the previous three strikes law to petition the court to reduce their sentence back to the second strike. It also targeted repeat offenders and offered lower crime rate. Who is impacted? So most of the people impacted by this law were either drug addicts or dealers, or those who committed petty thefts. So people who were affected are also regularly acting the same behavior because their issues are rooted from an addiction or more serious problem. Those who are repeat offenders usually find other ways to commit crimes that are less likely to get them caught. What are the benefits of getting rid of three strikes? So it costs about $75,000 a year to house an inmate. So if we get rid of it, we'll be housing inmates for less amount of time. The taxpayers can be using the money it would take to house an inmate and use it to treat more inmates who need mental health professionals or addiction specialists. We should be trying to advance in the direction of restorative justice to help those behind bars find a productive place in society. Restorative justice is a system of criminal justice which focuses on the rehabilitation of offenders through reconciliation with victims and the community at large. So how would we fix this? It would start by getting rid of the three strikes law altogether. The law perpetuates the wrong idea about the future of our justice system and will not be necessary if the right actions take place. Next, we would have to focus on the root of the problem, which begins outside of any prison walls. So what is the root, the cause? So the root of the cause is, in large part, children who live in low socioeconomic neighborhoods that must work twice as hard to be as successful as everyone else because they live amongst the highest crime levels of violence and crime. They don't have the money to pay for college, and they participate less in extracurricular activities. There should be more programs that make counselors available to help plan for college or get scholarships to be part of these extracurricular activities. It's actually proven that being a part of extracurricular activities or like after school activities increases attendance to classes, it increases students' overall GPAs, and it usually sets them up better for college just because they have something to do that kind of lets them plan for something bigger. A lot of times that is college. A lot of times extracurricular activities also can help get them scholarships that they need in order to attend. But overall, there should be more help to plan for college and futures in the general. The root of the cause is also the types of rehab already in the prison. So the most common types of rehab are parole, prison rehab, and treatment. The tone that the staff, such as guards and wardens, have should change, because if that changes, then it'll change the demeanor of the inmates as well. We can then have inmates focus on rehabilitation rather than the fear of survival, which is at the forefront of the system currently. So what's the problem with the three strikes law? So the rule is an easy way to put a band-aid over the problem because 34 million crimes happen every year in the US, but only 3 million result in arrest, which means that the focus should not be on repeat offenders, but rather on stopping crimes from happening in the first place. A lot of times crimes happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be arrested, which means they're not going to be affected by the three strikes law. It also arguably defies the Eighth Amendment because it can be considered cruel and unusual punishment when they're already being punished for the original crimes. The third crime is just an on top, it's an extra amount of time that can be seen as cruel and unusual. It also leaves the judge with little power to carry out what they believe is justice because they go into this third strike already having 25 years to life. It means that the judge gets little power to determine the justice that is necessary for the individual case. So some people believe that it doesn't consider the deterrence that it provides, but the thing is deterrence feeds upon the fear of being incarcerated and the injustice to a person's sense of humanity. There is also little difference from the cost of letting inmates go to keeping them incarcerated when they're repeat offenders. But the problem with that is if everything that I've previously mentioned actually takes place, then there shouldn't be as many repeat offenders. They should also have enough money to house inmates humanely and offer services that will decrease its chances of repeat offenders returning as often or if ever. The law is the reason that crime rates have decreased and repeat offenders are accountable. Many people believe that the violent crimes that are committed are something that they happen and then they're able to put them behind bars so they don't happen anymore, but the violent crimes are the ones that usually aren't premeditated. Many times these people do it out of passion in the situation, which means they don't have two strikes and wouldn't be susceptible to the three strikes rule at all. So in conclusion, much of the problem is rooted in a greater issue within our society, but they can be rectified. We must give people an option other than violence and crime. Our prisons are feared and used to tell horrific stories in our media, yet nothing has truly changed. We can't see this and continue to pass laws that continue this narrative. It's time to bring more compassion into our prisons. This is my works cited, and thank you so much for listening. Bye.